Hi, this is Webbs, and I'll be doing a video today on Apple's solar energy program. So you can find out more about Apple's solar program or Apple's environmental program by going to www.apple.com/the environment. Now, down below on the website, you'll see that it says that 100% of our operations run on renewable energy. 100% of our data centers run on renewable energy. And 87% of our global operations run on renewable energy. Now, when I believe, or I think that this is a big fishtail, and I'll explain why in a minute. When I was little, my aunt and her friend took me down to the Eastern Shore in Maryland, and a friend of theirs caught a fish, and he was showing me how to fish because I didn't know how to fish. I was like maybe 5 or 6 at the time, and I got home and I said, I caught a fish this big. We've all heard the story before. I caught a fish this big. Well, my aunt and her friend, they were correct. They said I didn't actually catch the fish, and I was like, well, I didn't actually catch the fish. So let me explain in legal terms as best I can, and this is not a personal attack on Apple. It's just I believe that this is a big fish story, and this is why. I believe in a roundabout way that Apple is trading carbon credits. Now, if you look at Apple's board of directors, Al Gore sits as a board member on Apple's board of directors, and I have no idea why, except for that Al Gore is big on trading carbon credits. And if you've heard about this story in years past, he's got this huge house in California with a giant swimming pool, and I'm just gonna make this number up. The electric bill in the house is astronomical. It's like $1,500 a month, and it uses more power than like 5 or 10 regular normal U.S. homes. I mean, in my case, it would be like 7 or 8 times more energy than I use in my home in Maryland. So if you go online and you look at the videos of Campus One, there's a couple of them. There's no solar arrays on top of Campus One. So the video that Apple had up with Lisa Jackson, she is the head of Apple's green technology program. She says that Apple Campus 1 runs totally on solar energy, and when Apple Campus 2, and this is true, this part is true, when Apple Campus 2 is finished, it will have one of the world's largest solar arrays for a corporate building, and I'm not sure if this is possible or this is exactly what they said. Apple Campus 2 will generate 100% of its own solar power. So, I mean, back to the beginning, Apple Campus 1, if they don't have solar panels, they can't generate their own power. And if you have solar panels, you can only generate power when the sun is out, which in the wintertime is shorter than the summertime. So in the wintertime, you might have 8 hours of sunlight, so you might only be generating 50% of your power during the daylight hours between 7 o'clock and 5 in the afternoon or 6. In the summertime, you're going to be generating significantly more power for approximately 16 hours a day. And what most people do is there's a big solar company in Maryland, and I'm not going to mention their name. A lot of people lease panels from this company, and they sell the energy that they don't need to the power company and then generate their own power during the day. And most people work during the day, so they just need to run a refrigerator, and they run the refrigerator off the solar panels and then sell the power back to the grid. Now, when you have company, we'll call it company S. When you have company S for your solar energy provider, your meter spins backwards this way. During the day, your meter spins backwards. Then at night, you're buying power from the energy company, and your meter's running forwards. Now, this is true for anybody that's using a solar array that doesn't have a system to store energy. So your meter may be running backwards like this during the day selling power back to the company. Then at night you might be running like this, because you can come home, watch TV, turn on some lights, take a shower, go to bed. Most of us, not all of us, most of us are indentured servants. So during the day we work, and then at night we sleep. So I can't let this video drag out too long because I only got 15 minutes. So Apple, I miscorrectly understood from the video that Apple had up on YouTube.com/Apple that Apple had solar panels on Apple Campus One and a server center in Nevada. After a bunch of research, because I own an Apple-related fan site, I found out that Apple's server is sort of a company secret, but not totally, is located in Halifax, Virginia, and they have something like 100-acre solar farm. Now, there's three technology companies in Halifax, North Carolina. I'm not sure if I totally got that right the first time. There's three companies that have solar farms in Halifax, North Carolina. Those are Google, Facebook, and Apple. So whether these farms are subdivided or they're just one farm, I'm not really sure. So the Apple solar farm, give or take, in North Carolina, you can look this up. I believe that it generates between 10 and 20 megawatts, which is almost a full-size coal burning plant worth of power. Now they don't need the power for an entire state to run their data center. So they could take 1 megawatt. I don't know if they would even need 1 megawatt for a service center. Is a huge number to run their service center, and they can sell the rest of the power back to the grid. Now at this point, under the new global carbon trading tax scheme, Apple would be generating carbon credits. And so if they were manufacturing in the US and producing carbon, they could flatten this out by generating solar power. Now at night, they don't have any energy storage schemes for generating power at night. There's a lot of documentation that they are using a product, I believe, called Bloom Energy. Now, Bloom Energy is this magical product that generates power. Well, if you know about laws of conservation and energy, you know that there's not necessarily yet, but there was, the government probably wouldn't allow it, a magical energy product to generate power. So Bloom Energy, when you get through their site, about after 8 minutes of this boring demo, they say that their fuel cells are powered by propane. So they have oxidizing ceramic plates, and when propane runs against them, it's oxidized and creates carbon, and in the process, because burning all fuels creates carbon, and this creates energy. And so this energy at night, Apple, Facebook, and Google, they use to power their servers because they want to be off grid. I think they want to be off grid. So I have to be careful about how I word all this, but I believe that Apple, Google, Facebook would like to be off grid. So during the day, they're generating 100% solar energy during the day, and at night they're generating energy off of Bloom cells. So I'm trying to figure out the legal perspective of this, because I believe, or I think, that this whole thing is a big fish story, that and the wording, and we always have to be careful how we word things, is that during the daylight in the United States, Apple is generating 100% of its power off of solar energy. However, at night they're generating 0 or 1% of power off of solar. And Apple's building several solar farms. They're building one, I believe, in China. And they might be, this is probably a technology deal, because Apple makes their, I believe, their motherboards and their iPhone and their iPads and their iPods all in China. So rather than manufacture in the US like they did originally until Steve Jobs left in '94, Apple is producing products in China. So I just thought I want to get that out there. You can comment below. I could comment on it more. Lisa Jackson is the head of Apple's, she's a chief executive officer in charge of the environment and green operations and solar power for Apple. She is the former deputy director, I believe, of the Environmental Protection Agency. She was, I think, Obama's appointee. You can do more research on that. She would be aware of all this, I would think, although I tried to explain this to my mother, and if anybody knows anything about me, I'm a little off the spectrum on technology and sometimes not so good with people. So you can comment below, what do you think's going on? Do you think Apple, since we can use qualifiers, Apple's during the daytime is generating 100% of their own power, or through some means, perhaps through earning carbon credits, they're creating their own power through carbon credits, or are they physically creating their own power off of solar energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? If they're not storing their energy, they can't. So, like I said, let me know in the comments below what you think. And even if you work for a competing company, I don't work for a competing company. My goal would be maybe to act as an ethical or moral sounding board for Apple, so that as Apple continues to develop its technology, they become an ethical and moral competitor in the business place by disrupting technology rather than becoming the people who they wish to disrupt. They become a better competitor in the world marketplace. And that's the intention of this video. Like I said, leave your personal comments below.